Tell me what you think when you see this. I'll tell you what I think in 3, 2, 1. I want to eat something out of that. This is an old disc blade from a John Deere disc. This is 19 inches, real heavy. It's quite thick. The center portion is about 1/4 inch thick. It's much thinner on the edges. It's rusty. It's gross right now. But we are going to turn this into an authentic Discada. Let me show you how I do it. As you may have guessed, first thing we might want to do is clean this up a little. I'm not going to call that one good enough yet. Starting to think maybe I should have did this in the kitchen so I could have turned on the fan above the stove. Good as new. Oh, I'm liking that. Well, I've been grinding away at this for quite a while now, and we are getting to the point where I'm not so afraid to eat off of this anymore. I'm gonna do a couple more rounds with some finer grit flap wheels, get some of the finer scratches out of there. And then we will weld in the plug. Well, we got some craziness going on now. Better show you what I'm up to. There's a crust on the outside of that thing that is really tough. And I gotta get it with, can't use a flap disc. It's just not cutting it. So, brought in my 2-wheel cart, propped it up. Watch this, this is pretty cool. Kind of a cool pattern. So I was working on this spot over here, and you gotta get through the black before it'll start really grinding nice. And this works fantastic. I'm working on the inside too, still with the flap disc. That's turning out pretty nice. Well, I'm going to call this either as good as it needs to be or as good as I'm going to get it. A lot of pits in there, but I think at Grandma's cast iron pan, it was full of pits too. two-wheel cart worked pretty good. If I was gonna make any number of these, I would make some sort of a spinny table. So that sure worked nice. Sometimes you just gotta pause what you're doing and make a new tool. That carousel using my two-wheel cart works so well. I had this old wheel off my two-wheel cart. Found some junk in the scrap bin. A piece of metal welded on it for some reason. Anyway, I'm gonna weld this together thusly so I can have a carousel that I can clamp right to my bench. That will be a cool tool. One more tool for the shop. Now to plug up that hole, I have cut a piece of, I think this is 5/16, might be a quarter. It's just a titch thicker than the hole in the disc. I didn't bother cutting that star out. And then I took a piece of copper pipe, cut her and flattened it out, and use that as a backer so that I don't weld this to the bench. I really don't have any clamps that size. I'm just gonna wing it. Grind away what doesn't fit. I'm gonna spray some cooking oil so any splatter doesn't stick to the Discada and have more crap I need to grind away. Remember what I taught you in a previous video? You can't weld, you better learn how to grind. Now let's flip her over and see what happened in the backside. Wow. I done good. Now the grinding begins. think I'm okay with that. My wheel does not seem to be melting. I'm going to switch out to the finer flap disc, and I think we might be good. I have just a slight little divot right in the middle, but I don't think it's deep enough to cause any trouble, and I don't feel like welding that back up again. I think it's time for some handles. Let me show you how we are going to make the handle. We're going to start out with a piece of 5/16 inch. This is, I don't know what this is from. It's from something I scrapped out, but it's cold rolled or soft or something like that. Anyway, we start by pounding one end flat. You pound it all from one side, so this is flat all the way along. Then I drill a small hole and then widen that hole out with a punch. Clean that all up, and then we come up with something like this. Stole the closet bar out of my wife's closet to make the wooden handle. I don't think she'll notice. Anyway, that's going to go on there like that. Two of them get welded in, one on each side. So let's do some more pounding. I do all my pounding and blacksmithing type of stuff on this piece of railroad track. And I always set it on my rubber mats on the floor, because otherwise people come out of the house saying, "What are you banging on?" So this keeps it a little quieter. I'm going to start out with the peen. So these handle brackets have a little kink in them. I wanted to make sure that when this thing was sitting upside down, it wasn't sitting on the handles, it was sitting all the way on the rim, so we had to put this little kink in them. So here's how we do that. Made a mark at 1.5 inches. Put that in a vise. Whoops, I need one thing in there first. 11/16 inch box end wrench. This is a great way to bust a wrench. So I'm putting that 1.5 inch mark right at the vise jaws. I'm going to get the handles squared and leveled the best I can. Remember, this is blacksmithing, this isn't machining. And hunk on that wrench a little bit. Actually, I think that's probably just right. Okay, one more thing I want to do before I call this done. This breaks with tradition, but I want to put a ring around the bottom of this so that I can use it on my cooktop in the kitchen in the house. So I got this 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch cold rolled flat stock. Figure out how to bend a circle and weld that on here. Alright class, we're going back to junior high math one more time. Pi and the circumference of a circle. So we've got this piece of 8 inch schedule 40, which outside diameter is 8.5 inch. I want 9.5 inch, and we got some spring back, so this is gonna work. So 9.5 inch, how long do I want my piece of flat stock? Well, 9.5 times pi. Pi is 3.14 is close enough. 29.83. I cut this off at 29 7/8. Again, close enough. So we're just going to bend this around this piece of PVC pipe. I think that's probably round enough. Let's get that disc back up on here and weld that on. I got the ring as round as I could get it. I got it as level as I could get it. Got it weighed down with my chunk of railroad track. Let's get that sucker on there. that don't look half bad. Well, we've already got some design stuff going on that was unintended. Good. See this gap here? My previous Discada I made, the disc actually sat on that ring. But now, it's sitting on the ring that I put on there, down on the burners, so some of that heat can get around there and out to the edges more. My previous one really concentrated the heater on the middle and really didn't do much around the outside. This one will put a little more heat to the outside. You don't want a whole lot out there, but it'll put some out there. But I think it's time that we season this thing. Got the bottom all waxed up. Just turn a nice patina. Now we can flip her over and season the cooking surface. Wonder what that's gonna look like. Wow, purple. That's kind of cool. All right, we've got it cooled down enough that it does not smoke when you put the oil on there. I've given it a coat of canola oil. We'll turn the fire back on. And I think you go till that smokes. Got those flames dance around there. So in the middle, we're running at about 350, and then in the outer ring, running at about 275. You know, I think all we got left to do is find something to cook. Well, it's time to cook something. We're not going too crazy here. This is just a raw flour tortilla. works just like they're supposed to. Well, that's a wrap. I'm pretty pleased with how this all turned out. I think the next step for this thing is to fashion a lid for it. Got a piece of aluminum that looks just the right size for that. So, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like the page, share it with all your friends, and we'll see you on the next build.